Hey everybody, this is Linda Bartolucci with Ink Stamp and Scrap, and today we're going to make 2 cards from the soon-to-be released Stampin' Up catalog. All right, before we dive into the card, the first thing I want to show you is what we're working with today. We are working with the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set. It's actually a bundle. It goes with this cute little punch. Hopefully you can see in the camera angle that you get a scoop and a cone. This was just holding that up. And then the other thing I ordered from the upcoming mini catalog, this is the one that starts in January, are these cute little sprinkles that you can add to any card, but it's supposed to coordinate really nicely with the little candy theme the ice cream theme that's going in this stamp set. The thing that I loved about this is, first of all, who doesn't love popsicles and ice cream, but also the font and the different greetings. So we're going to make 2 cards right now. Let me bring in the supplies for the first one. First, we're going to do the ice cream scoop card. So this is going to use a piece of cinnamon cider that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 and folded. And then this also uses the new Ice Cream Corner Designer Series paper. Let me show you that real quick. So you get 12 by 12 sheets in this pack, and they are 6 different designs, 2-sided, and you get 2 sheets each. If you decide that you just want a sampling of this, you can join in my paper share. If you're watching this before January 5th of 2021, I'm still taking orders for my paper share. I will put a link in the description below. We need these 2 pieces, and then I've already punched a few things, but I wanted to show you, I stamped my 3 scoops of ice cream, and I wanted to show you how this punch works, or at least what I think is the best way to use it. So the reason that I stamped these this way is because the scoop, when you use the punch upside down, is facing, the scallops are facing to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this one, the far left one, so that even though it's going to punch a little bit of the cone here, it's not going to mess up anything else that I've stamped. So you just want to kind of think about things before you line them up, and that way you can use one scrap and get lots of ice cream out of it. How fun is that? All right, so we have a pistachio. That's what I'm calling that. That looks more like a grape sherbet. This one isn't quite raspberry, but we're just gonna pretend it is. Maybe one of the bubble gums. Sometimes bubble gum comes in kind of a bluish color. But anyway, those are our 3 scoops for this card. It does tend to, if it gets caught like it is right now, all I do is just punch it again. Makes a little bit of a mess, but it does get everything out. And then I'm just going to toss all this in the trash. All right, so we have our 3 scoops of ice cream, and now we need a cone, which I already stamped right there and cut out. It's punched out, although you could fussy cut this. It's super easy to do. But what we need is the stamp that adds the detail to the cone. So one of the stamps has this crisscross image to it. I'm just going to ink this up. When I stamped the cone, I stamped it off once first. So I stamped it on scratch paper and then stamped it on the Whisper White cardstock and then punched it out. So now I have what looks more like a sugar cone. So I'm going to do a 3 scoop card. So we're going to start laying this out. So we're going to have 1, 2, and then we're going to bring our layer for our greeting. I'm going to stamp something about melting. You melt my heart on this, and then we'll wrap some ribbon around and call it a day. So the only thing I need to bring in real quick is my Highland Heather ink pad. Stamp my greeting. I have a circle of Pool Party cardstock that I cut from the Layering Circles dies. And there we go. So now you melt my heart. All right, let's finish this off. I am going to take the cinnamon cider ribbon and wrap it around this and just tie a quick knot. Since we've got the crisscrosses going and all, I think a knot might be better than a bow, although you could definitely do a bow. So just a little knot. Take my ribbon scissors and trim that off. So it is nice that the punch allows you to take care of the ice cream and the cones. The popsicles and the sticks do not have anything to aid in your cutting efforts, but they are pretty easy to fussy cut. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit, and I'm actually going to put the cone over the ribbon just to anchor it down a little bit more. So we're going to do all of this with dimensionals. So I'm going to put one here and one here. And then I'm going to use these to anchor the ribbon and set up the basis. Oops, that's a little bit too far over. Didn't push down hard, so I should be able to slide it just a little bit. There we go. That's going to be better. So now when we put the dimensionals on the scoops, we want to put them towards the top so that the scallop part of the scoop can layer over the one underneath it. And if that didn't make sense, it will in just a second. I'm going to put my, I think this is the grape. Yeah, the grape one down first. Then we'll do pistachio. And you will see what I mean. So there's my scallop. So there's my grape. But we're going to make this a triple scoop ice cream cone. So I'm going to add the pistachio, which was stamped with Pear Pizzazz. There we go. And then I'm going to do what I am calling the bubblegum one. One, two, three on the very top. All right, now we just need to take care of the greeting. And conveniently, I have 3 left on that sheet. That's gonna go right there. We will add this to our cinnamon cider card base. Right here. There we go. Our Stampin' Seal, and voila, a cute little ice cream card that could go to really anyone, because who doesn't like ice cream? We are going to make a card with the popsicles. So we're going to use both themes in this stamp set. Just switching stuff around real quick. So these were the projects that we did in last night's, well, as I'm recording this, last night's Facebook Live. I go live on Facebook every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a good time just chatting about what we've been making. I try to give you lots of tips and tricks for the projects that I'm making. Sometimes there's 3D, sometimes it's just cards. Always something with a fun fold or 3D. So the way that Popsicle works is it's got 2 parts to it. This is part 1, and then it's got this top half. So you have a bottom and a top, and they match up pretty easily. And I do like to have some scratch paper because I found it was better to stamp off the bottom one to give it a little more effect. Well, actually, you could stamp out the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, I'm going to bring my stamp mat in. I'm going to take the Calypso Coral ink pad and stamp this one off once. The ink is pretty heavy, so I think I'm going to stamp the next one off twice to get the layering that I want. My ink pad's pretty juicy, so I'm just going to go a little tap. And then I'm lining up this corner with, or this side with the already stamped image. And I want the corner right here of the stamp image to be pretty low on the one I already stamped. That is just my personal preference. I didn't like making the popsicles too tall. There we go. I'm happy with that. And I'm just gonna fussy cut this real quick. I know there's a little overage on the side, but once you fussy cut it, you'll barely see that. If you are not a fan of fussy cutting, I can tell you that these paper snips make all the difference. They're really sharp and just the right size to fit in your hand. When you fussy cut, you want to open the blade as wide as possible and then just kind of keep going, closing the blade as you're making your way around. And when it gets too closed, then you open it up again before you start cutting. I'm going to go straight down there. And then I'm just gonna, see how this corner is kind of rounded, and so is that one. So I'm just gonna come back in here and I should be able to do it with one cut. I have to open one more time and then I can go around. Oops, I didn't quite round that one. The key to fussy cutting is to open your scissors wide and keep things moving. So anchor it with your not dominant hand and pull it away from the scissors as you're cutting with your dominant hand. All right, so now we have 3 different colors of popsicles with 3 different sticks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually layer all these guys on this one. I cut one of the nested labels from our nested label set of dies, and I'm looking for, here we go, that dimensional sheet. I know there's not a lot left, but I really only need to pop these ones up. Since I'm going to arrange these across, it's really easy to do that by starting with the center one. So I'm going to go right there, and then I'm going to tuck this guy just a little bit under. So I don't care if it hangs off a little bit. I can make that work out by putting one up a little higher here and one up a little higher, even higher here, just to make it a little more whimsical. And then we can take our release paper off these mini dimensionals and tuck this under the popsicle, because I don't have any dimensionals low on the frozen part of the popsicle that are going to get in my way. And there's the third one. All right. And you can see that our one that we just stamped today just fits in fine with the ones that were created earlier. This is Poppy Parade, Calypso Coral, and Mango Melody. All the products that I'm using today will be linked in the description below. And I'm going to do that with the Sprinkles stamp. I'm going to use all 3 colors. I'm going to start with Calypso Coral. It's the middle one. And I'm just going to kind of stamp. Oh, actually, I need to go this way because I need to be able to stamp off the paper, but I want, because it's a clear stamp, it's a photopolymer stamp, I want to be able to go off the edge, and I want my stamping mat because it makes the best image with this style of stamp. But since I'm going off the pad, I need some scratch paper underneath, or I will stamp all over my nice clean pad. So now we have our little sprinkles background. And the last thing we need is a greeting. So for our greeting, this is going to be a happy birthday card. I'm just going to set this aside for a moment, and I'm going to bring in the happy birthday. We're going to stamp it in Poppy Parade because it's the darkest and brightest color that we're using, and this way the greeting will really stand out. I cut a scrap of Whisper White cardstock down to 1 inch by 3 1/8. I'm using my grid paper to make it nice and straight, except it's sticking to my finger. And you'll notice that where the H and the D are at the top of the stamp, that's a nice straight line. So I use that to kind of line things up to make it straight. And then I just look at the general centering of the stamp before I set it down. I set it down, even pressure, mentally count somewhere between 3 and 5, depending on how fast you like to count. Lift it up and then gently and slowly pull it away so that the ink doesn't smudge. There we go. I am going to let that stand for a moment. Just going to add adhesive on all 4 sides and a little dot in the middle. And this is going to go right on our card base. Then I'm going to add all my popsicles, and I'm going to use snail for those as well because they have plenty of dimension to them with all of those regular and mini dimensionals that I added. I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the mango popsicle and then over here just to make sure it's about the same. There we go. The same distance. And then I'm going to add my greeting, but first I'm going to put some dimensionals on that. And then we'll add this at the bottom of the card with just a little bit of space on the right and on the bottom of it. There we go. And there is our second card. So I hope you enjoyed this preview of the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set. And like I said, you can make birthdays, thank yous, all sorts of stuff. It's a fun stamp set to work with. It's got some cute background little stamps that you could use on any card that you'd like to. So this stamp set and all the products that I showed you will be available on January 5th, 2021. If you need a copy of the catalog and don't have a demonstrator, I'd be honored if you choose me. And you can look in the description below to find out how to connect with me to get a catalog and how to join in the paper share if you'd like to get all the samples from the upcoming catalog. I hope you like the projects that I shared with you today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe and be sure to click that notification bell so you know when I add more videos to my YouTube channel.